my name is Stephanie Strand. I'm a marketing associate and an acquisitions editor at Annick Press. I'm so excited to be sharing our fall 2022 list with you, and today I'm joined by some of my colleagues to give you a sneak peek of all of our titles and some of our favorite things about each of these stories. This upcoming season has picture books that celebrate cultural identity, an incredible graphic novel that deals with the pressures of conformity, a brand new middle grade series with Vietnamese culture and supernatural appeal, and a jaw-dropping YA novel. And these are just from our debut authors. There's more than that. You'll hear from our fantastic Annick editors too, and you'll see that Annick Press's fall 2022 list really does have something for everyone. So now we'll start things off with my colleague Bailey Hoffman introducing our first picture book of the season.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Bailey Hoffman. I'm the Digital Marketing Associate at Annick Press. I'm very excited to tell you about My Name is Sagin, Singh by Kuljinder Kaur Brar, illustrated by Samrath Kaur. On his first day of school, Sagin is excited to meet his new classmates, but things take a turn when the teacher mispronounces his name as Sagin, and he's not sure how or if he should correct her. After trying to live with the different versions of his name for a while and some thoughtful conversations with his family about the meaning behind it, Sagin realizes the importance of reclaiming his name and embracing his identity. Debut author Kuljinder Kaur Brar is an elementary school teacher in Abbotsford, British Columbia. She has a son named Sagin who inspired the story. As a school teacher, she witnesses students losing a sense of who they are after trying to live with a different version of their name. Illustrator Samrath Kaur worked in animation games and is now at a branding agency where he designs lots of things for kids and was so excited to design Sagin's t-shirts. Samrath based the illustration of Sagin around his brother. Kuljinder and Samrath can both relate to people mispronouncing their name, and they hope this book inspires children to be confident about who they are and where they come from, and be able to stand up for themselves when someone mispronounces their name. My Name is Sagin, Singh publishes in hardcover and ebook on August 16th, 2022.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, Annick's publicity manager. The first title I'm going to share with you today is Silence, a high-concept black and white picture book written and illustrated by Lena Shamsharina, who is based in St. Petersburg. In this gorgeously illustrated book, an unnamed narrator invites young readers to come along on the hunt to find silence and learn its secrets. From the noise of a city in daytime, the search begins. While the narrator considers many possible locations of silence, nighttime, the forest, underground, in the ocean, readers are even encouraged to plug their ears and listen inside themselves to find silence. What we ultimately discover is a wide array of subtle, often overlooked sounds. This thoughtful, clever examination of sound and space is also interactive, encouraging participation and careful observation of the world around us. The striking illustrations are filled with quirky details that will reward multiple readings, and the soft onomatopoeia placed throughout the art helps to make this one a great bedtime read aloud too. As an unpublished project, Silence was the winner of the original picture book category of the International Illustration and Book Design Competition in 2020. And we think this unforgettable book will continue to gain fans.
So excited to be publishing a charming early chapter book series that explores Vietnamese culture and identity through the eyes of the Nguyen siblings, with elements of the supernatural, spirituality, and social justice woven in. So this is the first book in the series, The Secret of the Jade Bengal, where we meet 9-year-old Anh Nguyen, who's an organized and introspective girl who misses her grandma Noi a lot. Anne soon realizes that her gift from her grandmother, a beautiful jade bangle, has a secret power. Following that, in the second book in the series, The Power of the Pearl Earrings, we get to know the spontaneous and energetic Liz, the middle Nguyen sibling, who has grown up hearing stories from her grandma about the fantastically fierce Trung sisters who were freedom fighters in ancient Vietnam. Liz is struggling both with her friendships and her place in the family, and she finds help where she least expects it, in the pearl earrings that her grandmother left to her as a gift. This series is written by debut author Linda Trin, who is a Vietnamese-Canadian author who writes fiction and nonfiction for children and adults, and she lives in Winnipeg. Linda successfully completed Annick Press's mentorship program that supports writers who have been historically excluded from children's publishing. And one of the biggest things that Linda wants readers to take away from these stories is empathy and displaying a very specific point of view to get across universal understanding of experiences to children. This is in part why she's been writing for this age group. You know, this is the first time that children are trying to understand what othering is, and they're beginning to articulate it themselves. And this is on top of all of the other complexities that happen in kids' lives. These stories are illustrated by a debut illustrator, Clayton Nguyen, who is a Vietnamese artist born in Ottawa, and he's currently based in Toronto. Clayton grew up in a family with 2 older sisters, and so this story, especially the artsy, creative Jacob, who we get to meet in The Mystery of the Painted Van, really spoke to him. He pulled ideas from his own childhood, including Jacob's bowl haircut that you'll get to see as an inspiration for his illustrations throughout this series. Both Linda and Clayton were looking for more stories such as these ones when they were kids, stories where they saw themselves and their experiences reflected on the page, but they really couldn't find them. And so we're so excited to be publishing these important, charming stories in this debut early chapter series. You can meet the Nguyen kids in The Secret of the Jade Bangle and The Power of the Pearl Earrings that are publishing simultaneously on October 18th, 2022.
My name is Sarah Marie, and I edited The Wolf Suit, which incidentally was written and illustrated by the very lovely and talented Sid Sharp.
Hi.
And the idea for this came about because Sid told me about a dream that they had, and I felt like it would be a really fantastic book, and I thought that maybe Sid could tell us about the dream.
I had a dream several years ago that I was a wolf who went to like my wolf job and hung out with my wolf friends and saw my little like wolf family, and then I got home at the end of the day and I unzipped my wolf suit and I was a sheep, and it was a really terrifying nightmare. So what better for a book for children?
Absolutely. And it felt like that was definitely the acorn that grew the wolf suit. And I really love it so much. It's all hand painted, which I think is so special. And the end papers are gorgeous. So like this.
I have end papers.
And lots of fun little like smart details, like on the copyright page, and lots of really fun interiors that I think kids will really love and associate with. And I feel like everyone's a little bit a sheep in wolf's clothing, so I feel like they'll be able to relate also to this terrifying / amazing panel. It's one of my favorites. Is it one of your favorites too?
Yeah, it's not blood, it's blackberry juice.
Blackberry juice.
Hello everyone. My name is Yusnaar, and I'm the Rights and Permissions Coordinator Marketing Associate at Annick Press. I'm super excited to introduce The Wolf Suit, which is written and illustrated by debut author Sid Sharp. The Wolf Suit is a hilarious and touching graphic novel about the pressures of conformity and conquering fear by finding community. As the plot unfolds, it begins with Bellwether Rigwelter being once again out of blackberries. This time, rather than tiptoe through a forest full of predators, he comes up with a new plan. He will keep himself safe by blending in. He will sew a wolf suit. The disguise works perfectly. Sort of. Bellwether realizes he can't enjoy the forest in a bulky suit, and he may not be the only creature in the forest who feels that way. Perhaps not everyone is as wolfish as they appear. With humor, darkness, and insight, Sharp turns the idiom wolf in sheep's clothing on its head. This graphic novel is the perfect contemporary folktale for anyone who has ever felt the need to pretend to be someone else. You can grab your copy of The Wolf Suit on October 4th.
Next up, we have She Holds Up the Stars, written by Sandra Laurent, and this is a middle grade novel for ages 12 to 14. In this book, we meet 12-year-old Misko, and the last thing that she wants to do is to move away from the city to spend time on the res with her grandmother. But she feels strangely compelled to do so, and she's drawn by something that she can feel even in her dreams. Maybe when she's there, she can find out what happened to her mother, who disappeared when Misko was only 4 years old. As Misko arrives on the reserve, her relationship shifts as she encounters a spirited horse named Mistadam. But Mistadam is being very violently broken in by the rancher next door and his son Thomas. Now Thomas and Misko clash at first, but they find themselves drawn together by the wild horse, And as Misko slowly discovers the nature of her unique bond with this horse, she begins to feel a sense of belonging and understanding. This story is written by Sandra Laurent, who is originally from the Teme, Ogama, and Anishinaabe, people of the deep water in Temagami, which is in Northern Ontario. She is an accomplished arts innovator and cultural leader and has conceived, developed, produced, and disseminated many award-winning productions. She is the founder and executive and artistic director of Red Sky Performance, a leading company of contemporary Indigenous performance worldwide, and Sandra currently lives in Toronto. This book is something that we're really excited to be able to share with the world. Misko's life examines the reality of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people in a way that is appropriate for the middle grade readership, and the themes of truth and reconciliation are played out through Misko's relationship with Thomas. This story is partly based on Sandra's own life, which makes it that much more compelling for the reader and that much more relatable. She Holds Up the Stars also introduces concepts of Indigenous worldview, such as a respect for nature and the interconnectivity of all living things and of our spirituality as Indigenous peoples. We are publishing She Holds Up the Stars simultaneously in hardcover, paperback, and ebook formats, and this title publishes on August 16th, 2022.
Hey, I'm Claire Caldwell. I'm the senior editor at Annick Press, and I'm going to talk to you about A House Unsettled by Trin Delaney. So this is a genuinely terrifying YA novel. The first time I read the first few pages of this book, I was just hooked in immediately by the main character Asha's super compelling voice, but also the creepy things that started to happen right from the beginning, and it only gets scarier from there. Asha and her mom arrive at Great Aunt Aggie's dilapidated old house in the country. Things are strange in the house right from the beginning, but also things aren't really great between Asha and her mom, and Asha's kind of having trouble settling into the new town. And as much as this is a terrifying ghost story, it's also a story about haunting in a lot of different forms, or a lot of different ways to think about haunting, whether that's being haunted by whiteness, by legacies of violence within a family or within a town. And Asha kind of works to understand what those legacies are, but also to learn about breaking the cycles that create those legacies. And yeah, as much as it is a story about all of that, it's also a story that is very much about Black joy and queer love and celebrating coming into your own identity. And it also has all the hallmarks of your classic YA, from, family drama to friendship to friends liking each other. So it's a really scary, really compelling ghost story, but it is a super complex, beautifully written, gripping novel, and I hope you enjoy it.
A House Unsettled, publishing on October 11th, is the debut YA horror novel from Montreal-based writer Trin Delaney. 17-year-old Asha is ready for the fresh start her mom Tracy promises when they move to a Victorian mansion passed down from Tracy's Aunt Aggie in a small town far from the city Asha calls home and far from the painful reminders of her dad's recent incarceration. The immediate connection she makes with her new neighbor Cole seems like a sign that this fresh start is possible, but soon Asha's optimism is overshadowed by strange and increasingly terrifying occurrences within the crumbling old house's walls. Footsteps stalking the halls, a persistent chill, cold hands around her neck in the middle of the night. The escalating tension with her mother following the arrival of her toxic husband, increasingly strange apparitions in the house, and revelations about past entanglements between Cole and Asha's families start to make Asha question not only the possibility that things might be better here, but also whether she, Tracy, and even Cole could be in danger. This compelling emotional ghost story is set in modern-day rural New Brunswick and explores the concept of haunting as it relates to intergenerational trauma, queerness, race, colonialism, violence, and injustice.
Hi, my name is Rivka Cranley, and I'm an educational and editorial consultant at Annick Press, and I was the editor on this marvelous, wonderful book called More Than Money: How Economic Inequality Affects Everything. And as an addendum to the subtitle, it affects everyone as well. This is one of the first books, one of a kind of books that actually introduces the basic principles of economics to a young audience, 12 years old and up. And the authors, one of whom is a political science professor at York University, and the other an experienced children's author, have made the incomprehensible comprehensible for the young audience. Hadley Dyer is an experienced children's author, and she is so adept at making very complicated and complex topics understandable for most of her reading audience. She's got a fine tune in terms of who she is writing for, and that's embodied in this book. Now, as I mentioned, I think this book is the first of its kind. I have not encountered any other books that introduces economics and economic inequality to such a young audience. And what we have done here is we have done extensive research in order to be able to bring the principles behind what happens when there is economic inequality and what the consequences of these inequalities are. It affects all of our lives. It affects the rich and the poor and the in-betweeners, as one of the chapters is called, and where you live and what your government policies and programs are impact directly on the kind of economic opportunities that you have. Health, education, shelter, everything that is such an integral part of everyone's lives. More Than Money has used external researchers to be able to make sure that all of the data that we are presenting is as accurate and as up to date as possible. We accessed an economics researcher by the name of David Madani out of British Columbia, and he was integral in finding the latest data that we include in the charts and the graphs that we have in the book, showing the impact of COVID-19. And I know that kids will be able to access that kind of prior knowledge very easily because we've all lived through it. Anyway, I know that this book is going to become an essential part of everyone's personal libraries and school libraries, and it is jam-packed full of wonderful information for the beginning economists.
I don't know about all of you, but I wish I was taught more about economics and wealth inequality when I was younger, so that it wouldn't be so intimidating as an adult. In More Than Money, How Economic Inequality Affects Everything, by Hadley Dyer, Mitchell Bernard, and illustrations by Paul Gill, they make a scary and overwhelming subject easy to understand through fun illustrations, hopeful examples, which is perfect for educating young adults on such a nuanced topic. No matter how rich or poor you are, economic inequality impacts every aspect of your life. The places where you live, the opportunities you experience, the healthcare you get, and the education you receive. More Than Money breaks down why the rich seem to get richer while the rest of us are just struggling to get by. With vivid, energetic illustrations, the use of graphs and charts, and tips on how to investigate topics of interest, readers learn the most important issues and ideas in economics to better understand the consequences of inequality. The book covers OECD countries with well-established economies, which allows for apples-to-apples comparisons. Hadley Dyer is a former children's bookseller and has been involved with the children's book industry for more than 20 years and worked with multiple organizations that promote literacy and reading. She worked with author Mitchell Bernard, who is an associate professor of political science and Joint Center for Asia Pacific Studies, and he provided subject matter related input and guidance. The illustrator Paul Gill lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, and works in design, animation, and book illustration. This book has been highly anticipated by booksellers we have met with, and we are so excited for it to be out in the world and on your shelves soon. More Than Money publishes simultaneously in hardcover, paperback, and ebook on October 11th, 2022.
As one of our upcoming children's nonfiction titles, Searching Beyond the Stars reaches beyond this category, bringing interesting facts and questions about the universe to all ages. 7 women in science take us deep into space as their profiles and achievements are shared. Making connections across astronomy, chemistry, physics, history, and more, Nicole Mortellaro draws on her own experience as a woman in STEM to highlight the incredible odds each scientist faces while chasing new discoveries and the ways in which sexism and racism, among other barriers, still affect women scientists to this day. Sidebars filled with fascinating facts take readers behind the science and encourage them to delve deeper. Vibrant illustrations by Amanda Key showcase the wonder of space and the passion and eternal curiosity that drive each scientist in their work, unfurling the mysteries of our universe. Nicole Mortellaro is an author, a science reporter with CBC News, the editor of the Journal of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada, and an amateur astronomist. Searching Beyond the Stars will be available to quench your curiosity November 1st.
Up next, we've got some very exciting titles. We all know these classic Robert Munch stories, 50 Below, Angela's Airplane, I Have to Go, Mud Puddle, Fire Station, and Thomas's Snowsuit, and now they join our early readers collection so that young readers can enjoy them too. These Munch favorites are adapted from the original so that beginner readers can read these by themselves at a level 3. Robert Munch's zany stories and these iconic illustrations grab attention and keep readers interested as they practice their reading skills. There is a phonics introduction in these titles which is reinforced throughout the story, and each early reader includes reading tips and activities developed by an educator and directed to the reader, making them interesting, engaging, and really fun. These early readers also feature a note from Robert Munch, who is an advocate for literacy, to encourage readers that readers really do rule. Robert Munch and his wife Anne are super excited for this series as literacy is so important for them both. So keep an eye out for this completion of our early readers collection, publishing simultaneously in hardcover, paperback, and ebook on September 6th, just in time for back to school.
Award-winning Selma the Syrian Chef will be available in paperback August 16th. With over 17 awards, nominations, and recognition, the love for this book is well-founded and broad. All Selma wants is to make her mama smile again. Between English classes, job interviews, and missing Papa back in Syria, Mama always seems busy or sad. She decides that a homemade Syrian meal might do the trick of cheering her mother up. But how can you cook something when you don't know the recipe, what to call the vegetables in English, or where to find the right spices? Luckily, the staff and other newcomers at the Welcome Center are happy to lend a hand, and a sprinkle of sumac. With creativity and determination and charm, Selma brings her new friends together to show Mama that even though things aren't perfect, there is hope and love around them. Not only does this picture book shed a light on the immigrant experience and embrace diversity in its illustrations, words, and characters, but it goes a long way towards exploring the depths of what defines family, friendship, and home. This lovely story was written by Danny Ramadan, an award-winning Syrian-Canadian author, activist, and public speaker. His work as an activist has helped provide a safe passage to dozens of Syrian LGBTQ+ refugees to Canada. He is the author of 2 novels for adults, The Clothesline Swing and The Foghorn Echoes, and a forthcoming memoir, Crooked Teeth. Danny lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, where Selma the Syrian Chef takes place.
Thanks so much for tuning in to hear about our fantastic fall 2022 titles. We hope there's something that piqued your interest. As always, digital review copies are available for download from NetGalley and Edelweiss, or you can email us at marketing@annickpress.com with any requests.